Hello and welcome to the Cuppa Cupboard Live. My name is Matt Gonsalves and thank you so much for joining us for another Cuppa Cupboard live stream. Now this is actually quite momentous because this is going to be the last one of the summer as theatres start to open and concerts start to be able to go ahead. It means that people are going to be a lot busier, and so it's been actually a little bit more difficult kind of getting the diary synced up with a few people. So instead of doing the live streams going forward, I'm hoping to do some pre-recorded interviews and still do some songs. So if you'd like to still see the content from this channel, then please do subscribe, and then you'll be kept up to date with any new videos that come out with some of your favorite West End stars and West End singers that you like to see in shows. Now, before we start, I just want to introduce you to the comment box, the live chat box. Now, you can put your questions in there for our guest today. So if there's anything you'd love to know about the show they've done, or anything that they've kind of you'd like to ask something specific about a costume or whatever, you can put it in there and we will do our best to answer all of those as well. Now, we obviously offer this stream completely for free, and there's quite a lot of work that goes into it in terms of getting the music recorded and everything mixed down, and obviously for the performers' time as well. So if you can, and if you are able to, and if you would like to, we actually have a little donate here QR code, which you can scan with your phone and it will take you to our GoFundMe page. And if you feel so inclined, you can just add a little donation there, which will go to our guest today and also the MDs and the producers who help produce the songs, which you guys get to watch at home. If you can't get the QR code to work like me, I'm a bit terrible at that stuff, you can go to the video description and you'll see there is a link there to the page, and there's also a PayPal link as well where you can send a tip through that as well. Now, I'm going to stop talking and introduce my guest because that's the reason why you're all here. So I'd love for you all to meet the wonderful Jessica Daley. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello.
How are you today?
Thank you for having me. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Now, Jessica, you're actually up. Whereabouts are you right now? You're up in Middlesbrough, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Middlesbrough, in Teesside,
Yes.
northeast.
Yes.
Woo.
So that's why we're over Skype today, but it shouldn't make any difference. I'm loving that you've managed to kind of get in with the uniform. It's kind of like
Yes,
makes it look like
indeed.
we're planned, which is awesome. I'm loving it. I'm loving the commitment. It's great. So how has this pandemic found you? What have you been up to this pandemic, and kind of like what were you doing before it hit? What have you been doing during?
I just finished Evita in China in 2019, like the end of 2019, so just before the pandemic started. And I come home and moved back in with my mum temporarily, what I thought, whilst I auditioned and kind of tested the water with what was coming up like in London and stuff like that. I was kind of thinking about moving back down to London. I actually, like the day before we went into lockdown, said to my best friend, I'll sublet your room while you're on tour. We'll share your room and I'll test it out, test the water, see if I can get some like muggle work whilst I'm auditioning and stuff like that. And then the day after it was like, we're locking down. And I was like, I'm not going anywhere, sorry. I'm staying at home.
Yeah, staying at home where the rent's cheap and you've got mum's dinners.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
So. Yeah, I pull my weight as well. Like I do cook. But yeah, it's been great. I've been here with my mum. Really fortunate to have been here with kind of the lack of financial worry that some of my friends have been going through in London. And yeah, I ended up presenting a podcast for BBC.
Oh, brilliant.
Which on a whim, I put a tweet out saying, I'm bored. It was like 2 weeks into the podcast. I was like, I'm bored and I can talk for England. Can anyone utilise me? I'd like to be a DJ on the radio. Somebody give me some work. And one of my friends who I'd met previously doing something for our local BBC radio station got in touch with me and said, should we do a podcast? Like, should we put a pilot together and we'll pitch it and we'll see if we can get anywhere with it. We didn't think anything would come of it, but then they were like, we'll have it, and commissioned us. So I managed to get a bit of income from that, actually.
Brilliant.
And it gave me a bit of a focus at the beginning of the pandemic. I was interviewing lots of different people all around the world for it. It was about self-isolation, so it was just what were people up to during self-isolation, how they were coping with it, and yeah, all the crazy stuff that was happening in the beginning, like people getting married on Animal Crossing and just weird stuff like that. Like, so yeah, I managed to kind of keep myself amused with that, and
Brilliant.
yeah, apart from that, that was a little bit of income. I've been doing some teaching over Zoom, like a lot of people. Been doing some play reading with an amazing group of people. The Corona Days Plays people, run by Alex Young. She created quite a monster. It kind of evolved into this massive, amazing thing. So we were doing some play readings over lockdown as well, which has kept me creative. But yeah,
It's
apart
actually
from
quite
that, just the same as everyone.
amazing how everyone's just had to diversify, haven't they? They've just had to find new niches, new things they could do. Obviously, a lot of stuff online. People are suddenly having to create content, as you say, podcasts or things like that. I'm very impressed that you've managed to make some kind of income from a podcast, because I've had a podcast now for like the last year and 8 months, and I think altogether I've earned about £30 from it. Which, considering
Honestly, I don't
the
know
amount
how.
I spent on the equipment, means I'm still like £270 in the red.
Yeah,
But you do it for the love.
I honestly, I think it was just like right place, right time, right people. Like,
Yeah.
and we just had that idea. Apparently, we had that idea of doing like a self-isolation podcast a week before somebody in like London in a new broadcasting house had pitched it with some people down south, and they were like, "We're so sorry, BBC North actually got there first."
Brilliant.
So it felt really good. We were like really on it, and we created something straight away, and it kind of took off, which was amazing, as I say. And getting to dabble in that podcasty world, because I've always wanted to do podcasts. I've just not had a good enough idea what to do about. I just talk about
That
anything.
is the hard thing, yeah.
It's like, what will people listen to me talk about?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool and really surprising. Like, I always think life constantly surprises me. I never end up doing what I think I'll be doing. Like, just stuff creeps up all the time, and I'm like, oh, as if I never thought about this before. Yeah, let's go.
It's kind of the
So,
joy
yeah,
of being
good.
a freelancer, really, isn't it? It's like your career takes you down so many different avenues, and it's never like a ladder that you climb kind of like just in one direction. You kind of do this, and then you sidestep, and then you maybe take a step back, and then you go up again, and it's like, yeah, it's a winding road, but we do it for the love of it, don't we?
Yep, we do. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius, so I believe in all the horoscope stuff, but like, I love just spontaneity and doing crazy stuff, and I often do like take really odd, random little jobs that people are like, what? You're doing what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm running into somebody's house at 3:00 in the morning for Michael McIntyre. Like, what? Like, dressed as ABBA. And they're like, what? So I think like nothing surprises anyone when it comes to me in these random jobs now. When I tell my agent's like, yeah.
Okay, crack on. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if you can remember it, would you like to introduce your first song for everybody? Because obviously everyone would love to hear you sing. Can you remember which your first one is? Because I normally cue the guest before. Yes, great. Okay, take it away.
So. Yeah. So this first song actually was originally sung by one of my idols, my all-time biggest heroes. I just think she's wonderful, and she doesn't really need an introduction, really. But yeah, this is A Quiet Thing from Flora the Red Menace, originally sung by Liza Minnelli.
When it all comes true, just the way you planned, it's funny, but the bells don't ring. It's a quiet thing when you hold the world in your trembling hands. You think you'd hear a quiet it's a quiet thing. There are no exploding fireworks. Where's the roaring of the crowds? Maybe there's a strange new atmosphere way up here among the clouds. But I don't hear the drums. No, I don't hear the band. The sounds, I'm told, such moments bring. Happiness comes in on tiptoe. Well, what do you know? It's a quiet thing, a very quiet thing.
Yeah.
What is that?
I love to give everyone a little applause because it's been so long since so many people on this have heard one that I feel like they deserve it when they do amazing performances like that. But yeah, I mean, I kind of, as soon as you opened your mouth when we were recording the songs, I knew because of certain things you've done that the voice was gonna be incredible. And so your first kind of, not even a job, it wasn't even a job, was it? It was just exposure to kind of musical theatre, was a little show on the BBC with a certain Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber, wasn't it? What was it that you did?
It was actually Jesus Christ Superstar. No, it
Oh,
wasn't.
yeah.
It was for Over the Rainbow, which was Andrew Lloyd Webber's search for Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz in the West End that he did
Yeah.
way back when. Oh, yeah, so long ago
Yeah.
now. Oh.
Now, we actually had one of your fellow alumni on, it's probably like the second or third week of doing this stream, actually, Miss Bronte Barbe, also another ridiculous voice. So, like, as soon as I knew that you were in the finals with her, I was like, she's going to be amazing. But I've got a little picture of you thing. Now, I'm going to be really amazed if anyone at home can actually tell which one you were, because I actually had to show you this photo because I was like, I need to check she's in this before I show it, because I literally could not work out who you are. So, which one are you? Just put everyone out of their misery.
In the middle, in the green dress with the brunette hair that looks nothing like me.
It looks nothing like you now. Honestly, were you a brunette before, or did you dye your hair brunette because you thought Dorothy's a brunette in the movie? I'm going to make it as a brunette.
No, so basically at the time that I went on Dorothy, this is hilarious. So I was 18 at the time, and I was blonde. But I did change my hair color a lot. Like when I was younger, whenever I got bored, I was like, I'm gonna change my hair color. But my first love had like broke my heart, so I was really upset, and I dyed my hair. I was like, "Sod it, I'm dyeing my hair back brunette."
That's
and then
so
I
funny.
went to do like the top 20, and they were like, "What have you done to your hair?" And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "We need you back blonde." And then they were like, "It's green at the middle." For the top 20, it was like it washed out and went like a bit weird and like greeny. And they were like, "Oh, we need to do something with your hair." And they were like, "Oh, we'll just dye it. We'll dye it brunette. It's fine." And I said, "That's fine. Yeah, it's good."
That's so funny. I love that you had like the typical teenage, like heartbroken disaster thing of like, I'm gonna dye my hair blue,
dye my hair,
just whatever, just the need to change it up. Yes, Lorraine Hart, you did get it right. It was green dress. Well done. You managed to spot her. So there you go. Much better eyes than I've got. Now, obviously, you went in at 18 and did this thing where you were singing to the nation every single week on national TV. And so, like, how did you handle that? Like, how did you find that? Were you just like knees knocking before every show, or were you like, did you not
No.
realize how big it was until afterwards?
I did, but I was just so excited by it all that I think now if I did it now I'd be bricking it. Like I think the anxiety has caught up with me as the years have,
Yeah.
have got rolled by. But yeah, at the time I was just like, I'm just gonna enjoy
Mm,
this, like and take from it what I can. I mean, at the time as well, I kind of auditioned because I was at home and I was bored. I was passing the time, and I'd gotten my place at Arts Ed in London, the stage school in London, but I hadn't got my scholarship yet. So I was
right.
waiting to find out about my scholarship, and I was like, oh, I need it to go. And this audition came up, and I'd grown up watching the Nancy program, the Maria program, the Joseph program. I watched them all with my mum. And I'd never been old enough to go for them, and I was like, I really want to.
Yeah,
I'd love
yeah.
to go on one of them. So when the time came, I like applied for it, and then I wasn't even going to go. The night before I was gonna. Well, the night before I auditioned, I was like, should I go? My mum was like, you might as well, like,
Got
just
nothing
see
to
what
lose.
happens.
Yeah.
And then on that day, ended up singing for Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I was
Brilliant.
just
Oh,
that
oh,
that day, I
on
was
the
like,
open day.
yeah, on the first day, like on the morning, I went in and I was like, what songs am I gonna sing? Like totally winging it. Like as I've gotten older, I can't wing stuff anymore, but I was a winger when I was a kid. Now I'm just gonna wing it. What song do I know? And I sang like the totally wrong song, and the vocal coach in there at the time was like, oh, who ended up being our acting coach on the show, Donna, was like, I'm putting you through to the what's the accent? What's the accent? I'm putting you through to the afternoon, but you need to change your song, honey. Your song's
Oh,
atrocious. And
really?
I was like, what am I gonna do? And then still, like on the afternoon, was waiting to go in for my audition, and Lloyd Webber walks down the corridor in front of me, and I'm like, oh, I
You're
need to
like,
pick the
oh, I need
song.
to take this
I don't know what
seriously. I need
songs
to
I'm
take this
singing.
seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
brilliant.
ended up winging the songs again, but then I think I was rehearsing for the top 20, and I got a text off my mum saying I've got my funding for Arts Ed, and I think that had a lot to do with how I approached the live shows, because I had that there ready. I was going to Arts Ed to do my training, and anything within this
Was a
experience
bonus.
in front of me was a bonus. So
Yeah.
even when I'm getting kicked off on the moon and the girls are crying, and I'm just like, see you later, I'm off to Arts
Yeah.
Ed.
Yeah. You're like, it's fine. I'll see you on the
So
West End at some point. It's fine.
yeah, it's crazy. But like, the one time that I cried the most was when Bronte got voted off. Like, I was brokenhearted because we spent so
Mm,
much time together. We were such good pals in that show. We still are. Like, she's
yeah.
one of my best mates, and we used to go shopping together on our days off. And she was like my little sister at the time. Like, I feel like my little sister, but
Yeah. It's
she's
just because
not
she's
that much
shorter
younger
than
than
you.
me. She's yeah, just she was just like my sister. So all the girls were like my sisters, but I was
Mm.
truly cut up when Bronte got voted off. I was ugly crying, like
It's
super
actually really nice
terrible.
to see how, because obviously we did that event with Bronte a few years ago at the other palace,
Mm,
and seeing all the Dorothys there, and you guys all like still getting on and are still friends
mm,
today, and a lot. And it was actually really nice to see, because I think so many times in musical theatre and stage, it gets this cutthroat reputation of like
yeah,
nobody's friends with anybody. If they're getting ahead, then that means I'm not ahead, and blah blah blah. And it's like really refreshing to see
yeah,
like a bunch of girls like supporting each other and kind of like
yeah,
cheering each other on. And it was like, it just really throws that whole perception out the window in terms of like, no, that
yeah.
yes, theatre is competitive, but you don't have to be a jerk. You can actually be
No,
a
no,
nice
no. Well,
person
we were
and
all
cheer
very
people on.
different.
Hmm.
We were all very different girls at the time, and we all have evolved into very different people. And but those girls are like the sisters that I never had. And I think
Hmm.
because we were all so young, and we started in there quite young, and we didn't have the experience that the other contestants had on previous shows. Like, I think we were all kind of in it together. I mean, I remember one week, one of the researchers at the beginning, they're making a TV show too, like, so
Yeah.
they want it to be exciting and whatnot.
Yeah.
But one of the researchers came up to us one week and was like, I'll never forget this. So girls, you have to, for the pre-show, kind of before the credits roll, you have to tell me who you think isn't Dorothy. And we were all like, no, we're not doing that. And he was like, you have to do it. And like, you have to do it. And we were like, we're not doing it. And we refused. And he kicked off at us, got a bit mad with us. So we all had a little meeting and we all get in a little circle and we were like, okay, girls, right, you say her, you say her.
Everyone say the person
her,
to the left.
You say her. Yeah. Let's go. So that's what I think that's what we did in the end, because we weren't there for that reason. We were all having such a good time. It was such a learning curve, and it was kind of the beginning of our careers, I suppose, a lot of us. So it was, such a special time. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were times that were quite traumatic looking back. I've had conversations in the past year over lockdown actually with a few of the girls of like how we've held different bits of trauma within that whole experience and how we're like working it out still today. And speaking to the girls about it even last year, it was quite enlightening and kind of freeing. I don't know, to know that even though we went through that together and we were feeling quite different in different parts. So it was good. It was a big experience. It taught me how to kind of deal with criticism and rejection as well, and like
thick skin,
just to know that not everybody's gonna like what you do, not everybody's gonna love you, but you know, as long as you're staying true to yourself. And it's funny because like I got trolled so much on YouTube, like so much. I read some of the comments now and I'm like, guys, I was 18, like give the girl a break. Also, can you do that? I got trolled
it's
before
like when
it was
people
cool.
it's like when people watch the Olympics and they go, oh, the gymnastics or whatever, and they're like, oh, that was rubbish. And it's like, you can't do any better. You're sitting on the sofa eating crisps. Like, take a chill pill. Don't make out like you're an expert. You haven't got a clue.
Craziness,
now, thankfully, Over the Rainbow was not the end. It was the beginning, and you've gone on to actually do some really, really cool, great shows. And you actually originated the role in a certain production a few years ago, didn't you? Which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everybody about that?
Yeah, so actually, with that, I was up for another job by the same director and didn't get the track that I was up for, and they offered me a cover track. I'm getting somewhere, don't worry. They offered me a cover track for that show, and I knew that in my gut it wasn't the right job for me to do. It's the first time I turned down a job that I didn't feel like I would enjoy or do well. But by turning down that job, I got offered the workshop to An Officer and a Gentleman, it was a musical version of the 80s classic, like cult classic film, originating the bitchy part, Lynette, which is really cool. So I got to play a bitch, and I'm not a bitch. Well, honestly, no. But I got to kind of explore that.
Yeah. I've got a photo of you in the show, so we can see that. I mean, these outfits, this one with the umbrella on the side is just brilliant.
Hang on, that's Over the Rainbow. I've just noticed.
Oh, shame, we put the wrong one in. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we need to talk about the hat. What happened there?
Oh, I've still got that hat. I know, I've
brilliant.
Still got that hat from Over the Rainbow. Yeah, that was when I got voted off that week.
It was the hat.
I opened the umbrella. I opened the umbrella in the studio, and people were like, "That's bad luck." And I was like, "I'm going home. See ya."
Foretelling, foreboding. So no, you're here on the right. Then is Officer and Gentleman with the phone.
Yes. Yeah, brilliant. That is. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, are you the love interest in this? Because I know there was another photo which I have not put up, but with you and Ian McIntosh using his officer's uniform.
Yeah.
Is that the love interest story between the two? Because I've not seen the movie. So what's it about?
Right, okay. Oh, it's quite sad actually. It's quite bleak. So there's like the main pair who it was Richard Gere in the movie, and there's a Deborah Winger in the what's her second name? Can't remember. Who played that pair? But then there's another couple. It's like the supporting lead type couple.
Yeah.
Who basically my character Lynette really wants to get out of Pensacola. It's set in Pensacola. It's like on a Navy base. She really wants to like break out and marry somebody who can get her out of the area so she can have a better life, essentially. And she meets Sid, who is very sensitive and lovely. And I think she got the ick she got the ick, and she didn't want to marry him. He proposed to her, and she turns him down.
Poor guy.
And says that no, like, because, oh my God, I've just remembered. This is so bad. I didn't show.
Taking you down memory lane.
Because he quits. Because he's quite, he struggled. He didn't ever want to be in the Navy. His dad forced him to be in the Navy. So he has a breakdown at one point and quits, but then realizes he wants to settle down with Lynette. Lynette hears that he's quit and turns him down because she wants an officer in the Navy, man. She wants it. Right. So she turns him down, and then he commits suicide. Well, not, I shouldn't say commit. He completes suicide.
He dies by suicide.
Yeah. He so it's really sad. It's really bleak because then it's playing a character who is kind of the main reason that, well, not one of the reasons that somebody
one of the drivers
to do that. It was actually quite difficult. It was quite difficult to and the scenes after that happens with when people are kind of saying, calling me a bitch and saying this about my character, and I'm like, inside I'm like, oh my gosh, this
I'm a
is
nice
like,
person.
It's hard. I'm a nice person. This
booed?
Isn't me.
You know, like there's certain roles, like Bill Sykes on Oliver. Whenever he comes out for his bow, everyone boos. Like, did that happen playing the baddie, or like the?
I think like there was a drunken hen night party in one night who booed me, but I was like, guys, come on. But I think
I'm only doing my job.
I know. I felt for her though. Like I grew quite protective of her because I thought, like, you know, people. It was a prime example of a girl who is just trying to make the best out of her life, and trying to do something with her life with a really rubbish set of cards that she's been dealt. And yeah, I felt for her because she's flawed. She's very, very flawed. She makes a lot of bad decisions, and but she doesn't believe in herself. It stems from like insecurity, so it was quite sad. It was quite sad to play. But I mean, it was a show full of absolute bangers.
I was going to say,
soundtrack.
The storyline makes me go like, oh, okay, that seems quite heavy. Where's the kind of lightness that kind of keeps people entertained? But it's kind of filled with 80s hits, isn't it? It's got that 80s rock hits in it. So what were some of your favourite songs to sing in that?
Yeah, before all of that happens at the end,
sorry.
if you've not seen it, spoiler alert.
Okay.
Our Act 2 opener was Living on a Prayer. Me and Ian duetted that with the ensemble, which was every night was just hilarious. Just jumping on a bar.
Such a high song.
Singing. Such a high song.
Even for girls, it's such a high song.
Such a high song. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah, you're like, Bon Jovi, what are you doing?
Yeah, I did my solo song was Material Girl, but like I workshopped a version with Sarah Travis, who is the musical supervisor on it, who's fantastic. We had a little session one day. We're like, okay, how can we make this like really work? This is the beauty of being able to like to originate a part, because I'm like, this doesn't feel right as like a dun, 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 It didn't feel quite fitting for the moment, because she's talking about like some really hard things, some really tough, I don't know, she's talking about, you know, like, I think she's like, I need to get out of here and stuff like that. So it's like, how do you make Material Girl fit into that scene? And we workshopped it, so it was kind of like rocky, grungy, like quite free at the beginning. It was like the guitar would follow me, and I'd make it kind of like kind of free, and then the riff would kick in on and I am a material girl, and it'd be like, but grungy, really grungy. So to do that, to be able to create that from like the classic Madonna song, was really cool. But yeah, that and like Heart of Glass, which is my life anthem, was in there. We had stuff like You're the Voice. We had obviously Up Where We Belong was the finale at the end, which is the title song.
Proper bangers in that then.
And like St. Elmo's Fire. What kind of I think now? Yeah, it was stuff like Blaze of Glory was in there, which was the lead guy's song. Ian actually sang this fantastic version of Family Man by Hall & Oates as well. It's one of the best things I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, Ian's voice
Absolutely
is insane. Obviously, we worked with him for 3 years in
Oh,
Beautiful, and he just like
he's
churns
rubbish.
out
No,
such
he's
an amazing-
rubbish.
I was his understudy.
he's
He
so
is not
good.
rubbish. He's very solid.
No, he's not. Solid.
But
So
having
good every
talked
night.
about, but having talked about so many songs, I think it's time for us to get on our second one. So, as people who watch this stream quite often will know that I, when possible, try and do a duet with my guest. That's kind of one of the aims, the selfish aims of this stream, to get to sing with all these amazing people. So we are going to be doing As Long As You're Mine from Wicked. And so we get to live our Elphaba and Fiyero dream, if only for one night. Hey, Jess. So here we go. As Long As You're Mine from Wicked.
Kiss me too fiercely, hold me too tight. I need help believing you're with me tonight. My wildest dreamings could not foresee lying beside you with you wanting me. And just for this moment, as long as you're mine, I've lost all resistance and crossed some borderline. And if it turns out it's over too fast, I'll make every last moment last, as long as you're mine.
Maybe I'm brainless, maybe I'm wise, but you've got me seeing through different eyes. Somehow I've fallen under your spell, and somehow I'm feeling it's something I feel every moment. As long as you're mine, I'll wake up my body and make up for lost time. Say there's no future for us as a pair. And though I may know I don't care, just for this moment, as long as you're mine, come be how you want to, and see how bright we shine. Borrow the moonlight until it is through. And I will be here holding you, as long as you're mine.
Hooray! Yeah, it's so nice to get to sing again. It's the one thing I really enjoyed about doing these live streams, getting to sing something. Do you know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
having an excuse to. It's been great. Now, there's somebody who's been kicking off in the comments who you want to quickly shout out, isn't there? They've been messaging you
Yeah,
on the phone in secret during the song.
Yeah, so the lead guy from An Officer and a Gentleman was none other than the legendary Johnny Vines, who is actually, he's like, no, we haven't done 3 jobs together. We're not great mates. Like, we have done a few jobs together. We were meant to do another job together like this month, actually, which was sadly postponed. But yes, he's one of my very, very good friends, and he's not funny at all.
Now,
Lad, what a lad.
One of the things that you've done, which is amazing, because it's one of those roles where it's like, it is all about this person. Do you mean it's like they're the ones on the poster, they're the ones in the spotlight, they're the ones carrying the show. And like being a leading lady of that extent, because it's one thing playing like a leading lady when it's like you and somebody else, but being like, it's like when you play Carole King in Beautiful, it's like it's all about you. And when you're kind of like those roles. Now, you've actually had a chance to play one of those roles, haven't you? What is it that you did?
Oh, I played Eva Peron in Evita. Just before the pandemic.
Yeah. Now, where did you do that?
I did it in China.
Woo!
Yay!
I mean, this
China.
just highlights like the amazing pathway that this career kind of takes you on. Like, what other jobs do you get to just go and work in? So how did you find like working in China and Chinese audiences and stuff? Because I've worked on like ships where we've had a lot of like Japanese patrons before, and the culture difference is just amazing, like to watch as the way that they react audience wise. So did you find that when you were doing a show out there with Chinese audiences?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a lot of the time I couldn't really wholly focus on the audience because I was like, what am I doing every 2 minutes? But yeah, they were very, very appreciative. I remember we did the show in Wuhan in September 2019.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy. I thought, I'll never hear about Wuhan again.
I'm the most famous city in the world.
So we did the show in Wuhan, but actually that was one of my favorite places to do the show because the audiences there were very appreciative, and the theater actually really reminded me of a theater back home that I grew up in. So they were very, very appreciative. They'd come to stage door, they'd speak to you, get little gifts and stuff like that. They were quite sweet. But yeah, to take Evita there, which was obviously a very political show, it was quite interesting. It was. We didn't know how it was going to be received, and we had to make a few changes, just tiny changes and stuff like that for it to be able to run there. But it was very, very interesting. Definitely a culture shock.
Yeah, well, we had Luke Street and Johnny Vickers came on a few weeks, in like the 3rd or 4th week of doing the stream, and they did Jersey Boys out in China, and they were saying that they had to cut all the swearing out, they had to change some of the innuendos and other things like that, just because of the kind of sense of what's allowed and what's kind of like you don't want to be. I think they have a lot more restrictions in terms of kind of what's watershed, as it were. Do you know what I mean? And so did you have a similar experience with your show where you were having to kind of just tone things down or slightly rework things?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of swearing and stuff like that in Evita, but I mean, politically, I think there were a few things that kind of clashed. So it was just about adapting that. But there's not much, to be fair. There wasn't much. Can I just say, I met Johnny Vickers via the play reading group over lockdown.
Oh, okay.
That's how I know Johnny Vickers.
Brilliant.
Just super cool. Yeah, that's crazy.
A great guy.
But it was cool. It was definitely an experience, and definitely culture shock with just being there. And actually, it was the days that I wasn't on. So originally, because I did the Hal Prince production, the original one, it's always been that it's you only play 6 out of 8 shows, and your alternate does too. There's always an alternate. So with that, it was harder when I wasn't at work because I didn't quite know what to do. Everybody else is at work, and I'm like, what do I do in this
Yeah.
city?
I don't
I
speak the
can't.
language. I don't.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't speak the language. It's. I try to learn like odd little bits of
Yeah.
stuff, but it's such a hard language to learn. And Or it was obviously the time difference and stuff like that. So
Mm.
it was hard to connect with my people back home. And towards the end of the tour, when I was really burnt out and really, really tired and in need of a break, I found it really hard mentally. Actually, I
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
few panic attacks and stuff like that because I was just felt very suffocated and very just out of sorts and
It
unable to
takes a
kind of
very
connect to what.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
takes a very specific type of person, I think, to work abroad like long term. Like I know a lot of people who do like cruise ships,
Mm,
like years and years and years and years. And yeah, as you say, to be cut off from home, to be away on the other side of the world where you don't speak the language, you don't really have that support network around you. It is actually quite trying. But then that's also why your cast ends up becoming this kind of surrogate family that kind of sees you
family,
through
yeah,
these times, because you're
yeah,
all in it together and you all have to kind of support each other, and that's how you get through it. So it's
yeah. I
amazing in terms
spent
of camaraderie.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with the band guys
Oh,
actually. Like
really?
they become my pals. The band guys and my friend Vicky was on sound and I love the cast as well. I got so well with the
Yeah,
cast and
yeah,
I did things with the cast. But the guy the guys were hilarious, absolutely hilarious. It
yeah.
was quite a mix culture wise. We had a cast from South Africa, and then it was South African, Chinese, and British crew.
Oh,
And
wow.
then there was me and Lucas Rush, who played Cher, and David Francis, who played Magaldi, who were British, and Robert Finlayson, who was Perron, who was South African but based in the UK.
Oh, wow.
And then the band and some of the crew were from the UK. And then we had creatives from Australia and America, and it was just
Wow.
this massive
Melting
mix
pot.
of yeah, it was amazing in that sense. Like I've got friends all over the world now. I seem to
Yeah.
attract these jobs that take me all over the world, and I get to meet people all over the world, which is really
Mm,
cool. I have like lots of friends in Australia from when I did Les Mis in Asia, and
brilliant.
it's amazing. Like that's one of the most favorite parts of doing the job. But
Mm,
yeah, Evita was, I think as well. I found it quite difficult towards the end because it's exhausting
yeah.
emotionally, more so than, I mean, you get that job and you're like, vocally, what am I going to be like? Am I going to have no life? Am I going to be in
Yeah.
the hotel room? And I'd spoken to Emma Kingston about it just before the job, and she was saying like she was resting a lot, she was resting her voice a lot, and in a hotel a lot. And I
Yeah.
was like, I can't do that. Like
Yeah. I
the
need a
mental
life.
struggle is going to be much worse than the physical struggle. Like
Yeah.
I'm such a social kind of, I don't function well when I'm stuck inside,
Alone.
which is
Yeah.
lockdown's been quite trying.
You're an
So
extrovert.
I used to go out. When I tell people like I do the show, and they'll be like, and then I go out with the band guys for a drink, and they'll be like, what? And I'll be like, I just had
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that to be able to
For your own sanity.
disconnect.
Yeah. Now we've
Yeah.
got some photos
So,
of you as Evita here, looking great, loving the wig,
oh,
the blonde hair. Great.
yay.
Now, I was saying to you just before the show, before the stream, that I
Yeah.
actually studied politics, and you were talking about the politics of this show and how political it is.
Yeah.
And I actually
Yeah.
did my dissertation on Argentina, but I know absolutely nothing about Eva Perón because she wasn't around in the kind of 10-year decade that I did my dissertation on, because I did it on
Right.
the economic collapse of Argentina. So for a layman like me who doesn't understand kind of just her general story, like what is Evita about? Like what are the main just kind of turning points of her story, from like, I'm guessing a normal woman who then gets voted into office and then kind of ends up with a platform and
Yeah, I mean, similarly actually to Lynette, strangely, she was a working class girl, and I think she wanted to make the best out of her situation, and the only way to do that sometimes, I don't even know what I'm saying. So it was she was renowned for apparently sleeping her way to the top, but I mean,
right.
she was very ambitious. She's very ambitious, and I think she had she wanted to get out of her. The basis of it is she hated where she was and she wanted to make her life better. So
Yeah.
she did what she did. She kind of became an actress and got into that world, and then met Perron at a concert, and ended up getting with Perron and marrying Perron, who was one of the most powerful men in Argentina at the time, and becoming the first lady eventually. And I think, I mean, there were people that hated her, but a lot of the public loved her and adored her, and still do to this day. And I think with Evita, I mean, steering away from the political side of things, because I completely blanked as per usual. I'm like, I've got
I've kind of put you on the
Wikipedia
spot.
here. Yeah, but my approach to it, actually, when I was preparing for Evita, was like, when you think of Evita, you think of the iconic blonde wig, you think of the white dress, you think of Don't Cry For Me Argentina, you think of all that. But underneath all of that, and what I was more interested in, was who was that girl, and drawing the similarities of what it is to be a woman and what it was to be a woman at that time, and the similarities now still to this day, what women go through, and the struggles that they go through, and down to the fact that she was unable to have kids. Apparently she was it's all speculative as well, like there's no kind of true account. There's different texts and stuff like that you can only kind of draw inspiration from and make your own mind up about. But she apparently was barren and couldn't have children, and how would that affect you as a woman? And apparently Perron might have been responsible for that, and just different things like that, like connecting to who this woman was underneath it all, and why she wanted to get out, and what that meant to her to get out and make something of herself. And I think she became very, very powerful, and when people are ambitious and powerful, you kind of, it fuels you, doesn't it? And I mean, not always in the right way. So I don't believe she was a saint, but at the same time,
but she was a symbol, and she was an icon.
Yeah, she connected to people on the working class front. I think it was really important, and she was a very huge figure for women's suffrage as well. She fought a lot for women and their rights at the time. So I think she was. I always become really sympathetic and kind of protective over characters, and I will defend her. I would, at the time, would defend her to the ground, but I mean, I don't agree with everything that agree with everything that she did. No. Would I approach stuff in that way? Maybe I wouldn't, but to be able to tell that story and try and bring that out in her was such a huge challenge, and so exciting. And actually, as an actress, as opposed to the vocals, I love the vocals, I love the score, incredible. But because it sat quite naturally in my voice from the beginning, I didn't have to work to become comfortable with that. So I kind of was able to put that to the side early on and really dig into the character, the woman that she was. And I've never really, apart from An Officer and a Gentleman, I've not really had the opportunity to do that often. And I find that really, really exciting. I just love that. Love diving deep.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, everyone at home, you don't have to despair, because you're going to get a chance to see Jessica do a little bit of Evita, because you've actually recorded some for us, haven't you? So do you want to introduce this next song and maybe where it comes in Ava's journey, just kind of whereabouts in her story she is at this point?
Yeah, so this is after her famous speech on the Casa Rosada balcony, and things are kind of taking off, and she's about to go on a tour of Europe. So this is her song where she's saying she wants to feel good and she wants to bring the people the excitement, and it's just kind of, I just love doing this song every night. It was just so much fun. It contained a costume change, which was so difficult. On the first night, I did not have my jacket. The first opening night in Shanghai, Brilliant. I did not have a jacket, and, which was hilarious. But yeah, it's a full-on costume change. It's brilliant. It's so good. Rainbow High.
I was going to say, you need to say the title of the song.
Rainbow High. It's Rainbow High.
I don't really think I need the reasons why I won't succeed. I have done. Let's get this show on the road. Let's make it obvious. Perron is off and rolling. I came from the people, they need to adore me. So Christian Dior me, from my head to my toes. I need to be dazzling, I want to be rainbow. They must have excitement, and so must I. I'm their product, it's vital you sell me. So Machiavelli me, make an Argentine rose. I need to be thrilling, I want to be rainbow. They need their escape, and so do I. On my descamisados expect me to outshine the enemy. The aristocracy, I won't disappoint them. I am their savior, that's what they call me. So Lauren call me. Anything goes. To make me fantastic, I have to be rainbow in magical colors. You're not decorating a girl for a night on the town. And I'm not a second-rate queen getting kicks with a crown. Next up will be Europe. The rainbow's gonna tour, dressed up somewhere to go. We'll put on a show. Look out, mighty Europe, because you ought to know what you're gonna get in me. Just a little touch of, just a little touch of, just a little touch of star quality.
I mean, certainly star quality in that performance. I mean, it's just insane. I got goosebumps listening to that. Your belt voice is just, it's just beautiful. Hearing that mix going right up and top. Oh, outstanding. Amazing. It was so nice getting to hear that live and being in it. I mean, there you go. Helen Rathbone, there you go. Amazing vocal, stunning performance. There you go. Helen Rathbone used to be my choir teacher in primary school. So she's a very good singer and a very good choir. She knows what she's talking about. Her husband's a composer. She knows good music.
Thanks, Helen.
Right, well, we're actually wrapping up, aren't we? We're kind of getting to the end now. So the only thing I wanted to just kind of give you an opportunity here to do is, have you got anything that you want to plug? Is there anything that you kind of coming up that you would like to kind of just highlight to anybody?
I don't know who would be listening. I don't know if anybody would be listening in the Teesside area where I'm from, but I am going to release some tickets this week for a local gig, my first gig in Teesside. Yeah, crazy. Since Over the Rainbow, I've not done a solo gig, so I'm going to do that in the next few weeks. I'm going to release some tickets, I think, this week for that, which is really, really cool, really exciting. Just a celebration of all the different songs that I've done from shows that I've done, and yeah, cool.
So where should people look out for that?
If you just keep an eye on the old socials, my Twitter, I'll be putting out my Twitter. Mainly my Twitter and my Instagram, which is the same handle. You know what? Oh, well, I'm not pointing at it.
It's mirrored. That's why it confuses everybody.
The same handle that I've had for about 11 years, and I do not want to
Amazing.
change it. People are like, "Are you never going to change it to just your name?" And I'm like, "No."
Why?
Because people call me it. It's my nickname.
Yeah.
People call me Jessica Daley. So, yeah,
With
why?
the
Why would I do
7.
that? Yeah, with the
No,
7.
you've also got, I mean, we can't say anything about it here because it's not been announced yet, but you also have a show coming up towards the end of the year as well.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting. It's going to be
good.
really, really cool. So again, people can find out details when the announcement's made. I'm doing it now. There you go. At Jessica7. If you follow her there on Twitter, follow her there on Instagram. You can follow the rest of Jessica's career, and you'll be up to date with everything that she's up to. I mean, I'm not being funny. After hearing her voice singing today, you're going to want to go and see the shows that she's in because you know they're going to be amazing. So
Please.
this is one question that I always ask everybody before they leave. It's kind of a bit of a fun one. And that's just this. If your casting type was not a barrier, so if your gender, your ethnicity, your height, your vocal range, anything was not an issue, what would be your dream role? Is there anything you've seen in theatre and you go, I'd love to be able to do that if I wasn't a woman or I wasn't...
Probably. So I've got a couple actually, I think. The first one would be, and I mean, I've always wanted to play Sally Bowles in Cabaret, but I don't know where I went, West Country. I'd love to play the MC. That'd be great in Cabaret.
Yes.
Also, I did a Lloyd Webber concert at Curve. Where was it? In June, and I got to sing the part of Christine in Phantom.
Oh, amazing.
Which made me realise that I love Phantom, and I'd kind of love to play Phantom. That'd be
the
great.
Actual Phantom, yeah, why not? I mean, he wears a mask
play
anyway.
the Phantom of the Opera. Great.
You just got to work on your bass voice and the da 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 da. Keep working on it.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I do want to flag up just before we go is Jonathan Rathbone here. He said, I saw Elaine Page doing this part and Jess is better. So there you go. That's Helen's husband. He's the composer. So there you go. Controversial, but he's throwing it out there.
Oh my gosh. You know what I did? In rehearsals one day, I'd listened to Elaine Page the night before, and I went in to do, we did a run of Act 2 or something like that. And I started doing Rainbow High, and I was like, Megan Argentine Rose. And I was like, Elaine, no, I can't listen to Elaine.
Are you in there?
I was doing Elaine in Rainbow High, and I was like, we need to curb that. Can't be listening to more Elaine now. Yeah.
It's starting to influence it. That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for coming on. You've been an absolute delight. Honestly, it's been so nice getting to talk to you about your shows. And also just, sharing your voice with everybody at home as well, which obviously everyone at home, you've got to listen for free. So if you'd like to support Jessica over this period, we've got our little donate here code. You can just check on there, put a little money in. It's all shared. It gets shared between the MD and the producer and our guests. So everybody who contributes get a little something from this. And this is the last one as well. So this is your last opportunity to donate as well. So if you'd like to support us, please do click that or click the link in the description. Otherwise, press subscribe to keep in contact over the next few months with our more live performances and live interviews. I've actually got some concerts coming up, so I'm going to be doing some vlogging as well. I've got a rehearsal tomorrow for a Tina Turner concert we're going to start doing, so I'll start recording some bits of that. So if you'd like to see any of that, subscribe and then you'll get alerted when we put any new videos up. Otherwise, there's just one last thing to say. We've actually got 4 songs today. Normally we only do 3, but Jessica was really generous and actually went, can I do this one just before we go? And so we have 4. So would you like to introduce your very last song and say goodnight to everybody?
Yay! Yeah. So this was originally sung by another one of my idols, Barbara Streisand. It's from one of my favourite musicals, which I adore and would still love to do, hopefully at some point in the future. Thanks, Olivia. Got that comment there. Thank you. And so this is from the stage show. I'm having a brain fart. Oh my god, I'm having a brain fart. That was
it's
just
Barbara.
like
Isn't it Bob?
It's Barbara Streisand. It's from
Yes.
Funny Girl, and
Yes,
it's from
okay,
the
good.
stage show as opposed to the movie. So
Yes.
it's called The Music That Makes Me Dance.
Here we go.
I add 2 and 2, the most simple addition, then swear that the figures are lying. I'm a much better comic than mathematician, 'cause I'm better on stage than at intermission. And as far as the man is concerned, if I've been burned, I haven't learned. I know he's around when the sky and the ground started ringing. I know that he's near by the thunder I hear in advance. His words alone are the words that can start my heart singing. And his is the only music that makes me dance. He'll sleep and he'll rise in the light of 2 eyes that adore him. Bore him it might, but he won't leave my sight for a glance. In every way, every day, I need less of myself. I need more him. More